Good morning. It's Friday, September 15th, and I'm on my way to have a nuclear stress test this morning. But in any event, I want to talk a little bit about the Ukraine war and Russia and the sanctions that the U.S. has put on Russia, which have really done very little. Russia has overcome the sanctions in many ways. Russia has subverted the American export controls using its intelligence services and Ministry of Defense to run illicit networks of people who smuggle key components by exporting them to other countries from which they can be shipped to Russia more easily. So, in less than a year since the war began, Russia rebuilt their trade in critical components by routing them through countries like Armenia and Turkey. And the U.S. and European regulators have been trying to work together to curb the export of chips to Russia, but have struggled with the flow to pass through countries with ties to Moscow. So you see, in the world, there are many, many nations that agree with whatever Russia is doing, because remember, democracy is not a governmental system that is accepted by all the countries. In fact, democracies are probably 10 or only 20% of all the nations in the world. And one of the reports talk about Russia's overcoming the sanctions to expand their missile production. Moscow's missile production now exceeds the pre-war levels. That is what officials are telling us. And that leaves the Ukraine very, very vulnerable this coming winter. So what are we to do about this horrible situation? I don't believe that we can allow Ukraine to continue a defensive war. If Russia's increased capacity in the missile production area, plus whatever deal that he cut with North Korea, this is not going to be easy for Ukraine to win, even with all the Allied support. Ukraine really must go on the offensive. I know that sounds crazy. I shouldn't be talking about people getting killed. But continuing in this defensive position might mean that the Ukraine is at war for a long time. If they continue getting money from the U.S. and ammunition and other supplies from the Allies, the war will go on, and Russia will increase its capacities and beat the hell out of the countryside of the Ukraine. And Russia will not even be scarred. They have nothing to show, They will not have had a scintilla of damage. That has to stop. There's no way, in my vision, that the Ukraine can win this war by defending itself. They need ammunition. They probably need hundreds of thousands of people to help them fight. And I am not suggesting that the U.S. or any of their allies send troops over there to help the Ukrainians. But they sure need a lot more help than they're getting, because the sanctions on Russia haven't worked. And of course, Kim was over there the other day making a deal, and that's going to give Russia more missile production. And who knows what Kim got out of that deal. He wanted nuclear information. He wants to build a missile armory of his own. So why? Why are we so reluctant to put the screws to Russia? To put a huge amount of money into an offense. You can't win this war on defense. Lay back and let them beat the hell out of you. Your citizens are getting destroyed. Towns are getting destroyed. The population is dwindling. How long can people stay in Ukraine and continue to accept this bombardment? And how long are we going to piddle around without a real answer? This is a fight for their lives. We're letting the Ukrainian people get killed because we refuse. And I'm not talking just the United States. The whole Allied situation is refusing to give them what they need for a great offense. A wave to come over and sweep Russia off its feet. Now it's true, Russia has had major casualties that they won't admit to. They have lost hundreds of thousands of troops and everything. They have had to release prisoners from prison to go to fight with a guarantee after the war is over that these people can be free. And these people are probably dead by now. I mean, the Ukraine has done a great job defending itself, but it's not good enough to win the war. Not good enough to win the war. And recognize the fact that the United States and their sanctioning compatriots have not done the job well, because Russia has been able to overcome the sanctions. So here we sit, a year and a half later, and watch this special operation continue day in and day out, bombarding the people of Ukraine, bombarding the cities. And yes, the Ukraine fights back in little corners here and little corners there, and they take a piece of territory back. But that does not amount to a win. A win is when it ends, and you can get back to a normal life. Although, in this situation, I don't believe there can be a normal life in Ukraine for many, many years. Rebuilding that country will be a job that the Ukraine itself cannot accomplish. It will need a lot of help. And I'm sure that the people who have helped them fight this war will be willing to help them rebuild their nation. But they're never going to be able to rebuild their nation by a defensive posture. They have to be able to attack. They have to be able to knock some sense into Russia. They have to put Putin in a situation where he has to run for his life. And this defensive posture is not going to do the job. This is not a basketball game or a football game where the clock runs out and the defense has won the game. This is a war. And the reality of life is that defenses don't win wars. So I don't care what the U.S. has sanctioned and all of that, because it's not working. In my mind, it's not working, and this special military operation has gone on too long. So I leave you with my thoughts this morning. Have a great day. Bye.